Right now, something quiet but powerful is unfolding in the Horn of Africa. This is not just about borders or flags, it's about ports, trade routes, global power, and control of the Red Sea. Somaliland, a self-governing region since 1991, is pushing harder than ever for international recognition. As global discussions grow and foreign interest increases, one country is watching very carefully: Djibouti. Today we explain why Djibouti fears Somaliland's international recognition and what it could change across the Horn of Africa. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, following the collapse of the Somali state. For more than 3 decades, it has functioned as a de facto state. Its own government, its own currency, its own security forces, and relative stability in a volatile region. Yet despite all of this, Somaliland has remained in a strange global limbo, functioning like a state, but officially unrecognized by most of the world. But everything changed when Israel formally recognized Somaliland. Israel's recognition sent shockwaves through the region, signaling a dramatic shift in Somaliland's international standing. Suddenly, global and regional actors began to reassess their positions, with some countries cautiously opening dialogue and others expressing concern. For Somaliland, this recognition brought new legitimacy and opportunities. Foreign companies and governments increased cooperation around Berbera port, trade corridors, and security partnerships, seeing Somaliland as a potential gateway to the Horn of Africa. However, the move also triggered strong reactions from neighboring countries. Somalia condemned the recognition, while Djibouti and Ethiopia watched closely, wary of the geopolitical shifts that could alter trade routes, alliances, and the balance of power in the region. As Somaliland steps further onto the world stage, Djibouti's concerns about its own strategic position are only growing. Djibouti is small in size, but enormous in strategic value. It sits near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, one of the world's most important maritime choke points, linking the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, and Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Djibouti hosts multiple foreign military bases, including the United States, China, France, and Japan. But most importantly, Djibouti's economy depends on one critical advantage. Over 90% of Ethiopia's imports and exports pass through Djibouti's ports. This makes Djibouti Ethiopia's main trade gateway, a regional logistics hub, and economically powerful despite its size. But if Somaliland gains international recognition, the port of Berbera becomes fully legitimate in global trade systems. That would allow Ethiopia to diversify sea access, reduce dependence on Djibouti, and negotiate from a stronger position. For Djibouti, this represents a direct economic and strategic threat. Recognition would transform Berbera overnight. It would mean things like easier access to international finance, insurance coverage for shipping, and, well, larger foreign investment. Not to mention long-term port development. Global shipping companies and investors, they really prefer recognized, stable partners. If Berbera rises, Djibouti's long-held port monopoly weakens. And honestly, this is not just theory. It's a real calculation Djibouti cannot ignore. Djibouti's global relevance comes from being, first, a logistics hub, second, a military base host, and third, a diplomatic crossroads. But recognition of Somaliland opens up new possibilities: alternative military logistics hubs, new security partnerships, and expanded Red Sea access points. Even if Djibouti remains important, it would no longer be the only option. And in geopolitics, losing exclusivity means, well, losing leverage. So Djibouti generally aligns itself with the African Union consensus, supports Somalia's territorial integrity, and, honestly, values regional stability through maintaining the status quo. Openly backing Somaliland's recognition would, strain relations with Mogadishu, complicate African Union diplomacy, and risk a pretty significant regional backlash. That's why Djibouti chooses silence and caution, not because Somaliland is unstable or anything, but because recognition would in fact reshape the balance of power. Djibouti also has to think about its own internal stability. Any successful independence model in this region, well, it raises long-term questions about borders, autonomy, and, regional identity. Even if Somaliland's case is, let's say, unique, Djibouti prefers predictability over setting a precedent. Recognition introduces uncertainty, and for small but strategically exposed states, uncertainty is just too risky. Here's the bottom line. Djibouti fears Somaliland's international recognition because it threatens its economic dominance, strategic leverage, and, honestly, its regional exclusivity. Recognition could mean reduced dependence on Djibouti by Ethiopia, stronger competition from Berbera, diluted military and diplomatic importance, and a rebalanced Horn of Africa. This fear isn't really emotional. It's just strategic calculation. Somaliland's recognition wouldn't just add a new country to the map. It would actually redraw influence across the Red Sea and the Horn of Africa. For Djibouti, this kind of shift means loss of monopoly, loss of leverage, and, well, a future it no longer fully controls. That's exactly why Djibouti watches the Somaliland recognition debate so closely.